So, back to Critting After Dark. Thank you all for coming. We're in the Northstrand Hollow, and last time we left off, all of you had a beautiful wedding to head to that was unfortunately crashed by some strange monsters from another world. You made a new friend in Mitra, the barbarian, a tentative friend at least. But after felling the beasts and facing off with a High Lord Tarakesh for but a moment through a gap in space, you all went back to the Temple of Farrier and fell to rest for the evening. As you all awaken, the cold this morning is more severe than it usually is. Those of you who have lived in the city for a while now, which would be Tyken, Shaenda, and Lara, you know that the nights have been growing colder, nights accounting for roughly 75% of the time here in our world. The days do give a nice break to that, but the nights do seem to be getting worse. I guess, does anyone have anything they'd like to do this morning before they get up and get going?
Not at the moment, no.
So, Shaenda is gonna get up, get dressed and everything. Gonna give gonna like sit next to his bed, put his head against the mattress and just like give a quick prayer to Varia. Or Varia. Varia sounds better.
Yes.
Just, a wordless prayer just for the day.
Okay.
To go through. And then they'll just go down and look for food. Something with sugar.
Yes. As you head down, probably being the first to rise, even though you were the last to go to sleep, sleep not coming easy for you, you head down and there is a portion of the temple that is almost a large food kitchen where most of the paladins, clerics, and servants here are fed in the mornings. Food is plentiful. The temple does not hurt for anything in this town, being one of the main focal points, and you are given near free reign to what food there is. Seems that people are giving you a watchful eye, but not in a negative light. It seems like they're curious about you more than anything. Word has obviously spread of yesterday's events.
I give everybody a stink eye.
Okay.
And eat my, pastry.
Lara, as you start to rise, you swear you feel a hand cupping your face, and you hear a light purr of good morning. But as you open them and get moving, nothing's there. Tyken, for you, you've woken up. Your second day of being a hero, the excitement overwhelming. And you well know that you've set up for a meeting between yourself and the leadership here in the temple. At least Arwen, but more than likely, most of the leadership will be there. For you, Mitra, waking up in this temple is a very strange thing. Four walls is not something that you're accustomed to. Although not something you've never had, it's certainly not your regular day's rise. And the smell of food and the warmth that you feel is certainly not a comfortable or normal occurrence in the morning.
As she rises, she takes a moment to reflect upon the activities of yesterday. She goes by it step by step from her arrival and when she first entered the church. The thing she picked up when she saw what was left after her quarry had left, and the subsequent journey and the encounter. And she's familiar with this sort of thing. This isn't unusual. This isn't different. But what was different, she thinks, as she turns to look at the covered, shattered mirror, was whatever it was they encountered or half encountered that didn't quite have a chance to make it through. And there's a bit of pause, and she stops to think about what she gleamed with regards to the others. Um, it is a bit annoying because the majority of what she gleamed is that some of these people do not really like each other. But that's irrelevant now. Um, she doesn't quite arrive at a conclusion mentally, but well, getting out of bed, she makes her preparations before taking the mirror with her as she leaves her room. And
As you
hmm?
as you lift up the mirror,
Mm.
the one thing that is out of place is there's this small pool of that same black inky substance laying underneath it. It's not moving, it doesn't seem active in any way, but it's still leaking this strange fluid.
There's only the briefest moments of hesitation, and it might speak to her being inexperienced, or maybe her being taken aback. She didn't expect to see this first thing in the morning. Nonetheless, she takes it anyway, and when she does leave her room, she makes sure she shuts the door for all the good that may do.
Okay.
And I'd say what she would do at some point is try to seek out Taikin's mother or whatever, but of course that can come after everyone else has actually gotten up.
Certainly. The order in which most of you would rise would be fairly close together, considering when you all went to sleep. And those of you who are at least vaguely accustomed to the Temple of Farrier would definitely know where to search for people in the morning, most people going to get food before starting their day. And fairly quickly, you'd all be able to gather at a table and have a moment to yourselves before said meeting later on.
Good morning.
Was nah. Nah.
Just,
Is it though?
well, we're alive.
Mm.
Drinking my milk and my, eating my breakfast.
No
Really?
morning ale for this character.
No, not at all.
It's strong bones.
Lara will make multiple trips to the canteen. First time she'll just eat, and the other time she'll like try to pack it up into neatly into the backpack
Yeah, you
for
can
later.
mark down some rations if you will. They won't last very long. They're definitely
No.
not dried foods, but they'll do.
Next time you check, you'll have rotten food in your bag.
Is it fine
Um,
if I just mark down 2 then? Expiring ration.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mitra, at this point, you've probably risen and gotten the mirror and brought it downstairs. And as you're coming down through the temple itself, the temple being a fairly large building for the scale of this village, you move down and you notice that all eyes are on you as you carry this large object behind you or strapped to your back, however you'd like to. You're a big enough person to do that. But everyone is keeping a very close eye on your person as you go to move towards the group.
She's indifferent to the stairs. I mean, to her, it's all irrelevant. That being said, when she does arrive at the group, she sets down the mirror carefully and she decides now's probably the time to arrive at the conclusion of my thoughts from earlier, and she's a bit abrupt with it, and it's probably not very clear because she just says, "What are you doing?" What she means is, "What are you guys going to do?" What she just says is, "What are you guys doing?" Like, of course, everyone probably sitting, talking, maybe having something to eat.
What are you doing? I mean, you mean later or?
Oh, she takes a moment. Oh, not now, but today.
Do we
Chandler
notice?
Chandler looks to Lara.
What was your question, Tyken?
I was gonna say, do we notice the like black goo still dripping from it?
It's not actively dripping. It seems to be a very long, drawn-out process for any of this to come out. It's just singular, like, droplets, basically, that coagulated over the course of an evening. But you would notice that the cape or cloak that it was wrapped in is soaked through on one side, a big black patch on the cloak.
That's probably not sanitary, nor a good thing.
Hygiene should be the least of your concerns.
This is a
Her-
kitchen.
she just looks at you. She just looks at you before her gaze turns to Lara as well.
We'll be leaving soon.
Leaving for where?
We need to go on a trip.
That didn't answer the question.
I'll know it when I find it.
We're going to Nanya.
What the hell is Narnia?
None your business.
She kind of blinks and then looks back to Lara, and there's a bit of a pause before she decides, carefully chooses her words, and she says, "I do not think a trip is the most prudent of choices. Not just the two of you."
What are you saying?
She looks at the covered mirror before looking at Lara once more. And she says, "You're aware that you are hunted, correct?"
Yes, no thanks to you.
There's a bit of a pause, and she decides not to take offense at that, and she keeps speaking. And she says, "Regardless of my involvement, what you are hunted by is something that concerns me. And I believe it should concern you too. All of you, in fact," he says, looking at the others. What happened at the wedding was unfortunate, but what we've seen in that forest is different. More unprecedented. Do you
So,
understand?
but, what's it got to do with us?
What it has to do with you? I'm not concerned about my safety. We all die at the end of the day. What I'm
I'll be the
concerned.
first to go.
Oh, perhaps. Maybe you undergo if you venture out alone. My point is that there is safety in numbers, and we should be prepared for any threat that seeks to make us prey.
Well,
And unfortunately, I feel that is what we are.
DM,
So,
what I've known about my mother's husband or whatever he would have been?
Very little.
Very little
Your mother speaks in honeyed words about him, but doesn't give you any
details.
details. He was just a very, from appearances anyway, a very average human male wearing heavy, fine furs. He had a longsword strapped to his back during the ceremony, but didn't even have a chance to pull it because of the events. But
know what that sounds like? Sugar baby.
yes, very little.
Well, what are we supposed to do with this? I mean, are we gonna get snatched like this what is his name again? You know,
One moment.
the groom guy.
Dead man.
The groomie? Who?
Dead man.
Sure.
Tyken, you would know his name is Aaron Tyantir.
Whoa. Tyken, how do you write that?
It's AARONTHIA.
I did not follow that at all. Hey, what?
AA, two A's, RON,
Yeah.
and then the
AA.
last name, RON. The last
What?
name is THIANTIR.
A-N-T-R-R?
TIR.
Aaron Theanter?
Yes. But
Okay,
other
I
than the
think I
name, you
have it
knew
down.
very little about what this man did or, you know, his goals and ambitions in life other than banging your mom.
Right.
So, when's the funeral?
I don't really know.
You don't know when the funeral is?
No, I really don't. I don't know that that's been planned yet. It only happened yesterday. This stuff takes time.
Okay, great. So Mithra, that's your name?
Mitra.
Okay. Okay. So, I mean, you're the one who knows all this stuff, so what do you advise?
You think these things are still out there and hunting us?
Of course.
Well, why aren't they here now?
But we took care of all the cultists, right? At least the
What
ones
does it
that
mean?
were there.
What kind of cult is that? I mean, it was just people, right? I mean, what's the point anyway? What do you even want to bring that kind of shit?
No, all I'm just saying is there was no witnesses really,
Well, yeah, I'm a witness.
other than what was on the other side of that doorway.
What?
I ask you this instead. After seeing what you've seen, are you comfortable to live your life and assume you'll never come face to face with it again?
I mean, based on what I saw, I don't think anywhere we go, period, is gonna stop whatever it is we saw from getting to us. So, perhaps being on the move and staying on the move isn't such a bad idea.
That goes to the two of you.
What do you think?
Why are you not staying in the temple, brother? I mean, clearly it would be safe.
Based on what I saw, I don't know if these things are in fact hunting us. The last thing I want is to bring them here and endanger any of the people here, let alone our mother, as well as the other, loved ones that I do have here.
I believe Mom can take care of herself. I also believe that, your words. This temple holds mighty warriors, and I wish to learn from them.
I think I've learned roughly all I could. Not a whole lot more I think they can teach me. I mean, I kind of think I held my own yesterday pretty well.
Nearly killed yourself, but
No, no, no. That was you. That was you.
if you had listened, there wouldn't have been me.
But you also made the decision to do it regardless of myself and our mother
Well, clearly,
being in the way.
You ran away. So,
She looks between
Would you
Lara
have,
and Tykin. And where is this going?
had I stayed with you, would you have still thrown it?
yes.
Hmm.
It would have been our get out card.
So
Listen.
you would have.
She raises a hand and points at Lara and says, "You realize we would have all died. It's just you and him would have died later."
You don't know that.
I tend to agree with the big lady.
Well, if you would not have died in the forest on your way back home, you would have died on the outskirts of town. If not on the outskirts of town, you would have died here, in the city, aflame. If not in the city, then you and all the other adherents in this temple would have died. It matters not whether you would have died immediately or not, but you would have died. Now, I cannot force you or him to do anything. I am concerned about saving those I can. And for the meanwhile, until we know exactly what it is we're up against, because this bow is different from those we usually hunt. Until then, I believe it's best we stick together. The worst case scenario is that we all die somewhere far away from civilization.
Are you on your own?
Pardon?
Are you on your own?
For now, yes. There are others who share my aims
Where?
everywhere. We stay not in one place, we move. We move not to deplete the land, and not to bring atrocities to rest in any one place.
Great. Okay. So let's say. Oh, I don't know. I can't make that decision. I don't know.
Well, speak.
No. I'm gonna get something to And Shanda's gonna get up and go get like a plate or something. Like a huge plate of something.
Absolutely.
I think we leave today. Unless someone has some affairs to get in order. Actually, I think I do.
Ike, and you as well, though. You have the meeting today.
Mm-hmm. Well, you get your affairs in order, sister. I'll get mine.
Um,
How long do you
what's your
need?
name again? Goliath?
Mitra.
Right. Are you gonna carry that the whole time?
She looks at she looks at a mirror and she says, "Perhaps. I've not yet decided what to do with it."
Okay. Um,
Why?
why are you carrying it?
You saw what was in it, correct?
You think it
Before.
can come back out?
She shrugs and says, "I'm not sure. However, it is better it's in a place we can," he pauses, "I can keep an eye on it, than it is to be perhaps recovered by those more desperate, and to complete a ritual none of us would be aware of."
So if we destroy it, you don't have to carry it.
She closes her eyes for a moment and opens them. Have you any idea what destroying it might do?
No.
I mean, it'll keep it from being used.
Perhaps. And what if it has a more disastrous effect on those who destroyed it?
There's only one way to find out, and he takes his hammer and just kind of sets it on the table.
She looks at the hammer before looking up at Taikin, and she restrains herself from saying the first thing that comes to mind, but she says the second thing that comes to mind. Only a fool would wrought destruction without carefully thinking about what would happen. She looks in the mirror and shakes her head and continues speaking. "I'm not fond of this thing, but certain things should be kept away from others so that it is not misused.
Right.
If you wish to take it somewhere by yourself and destroy it, or to seize it from me by force, that is an option. However, you and you alone will bear the responsibility of anything that might come of it."
Shanda comes back with a plate full of muffins. What I miss?
Not much. Why don't we have the old man look at that thing? He's been around for a while. He might have some idea
old
of
man?
what it is, and one that's far older than you.
Okay.
Maybe it is something that can be destroyed safely.
She looks at Shanda. Is that his name? I think that's his name.
That's
He
it.
looks at Shanda and he stares for a moment.
What?
Is it true? Is it something you may be knowledgeable in?
What? I don't know.
No, I don't mean him.
Yeah. Well, which old man?
Yeah, which old man?
I have a meeting with him later. You're more than welcome to join us.
He stops to consider it for a moment. before nodded and says, "Very well."
Is that gonna be food?
Probably not. But if you wish to stay here and eat for however long it takes us, you're more than welcome to. Have you tried the milk? It's very delicious.
Milk is disgusting.
Oh, but have you tried it with some chocolate? Doesn't get any better than that.
It's at about this time that you notice eyes drifting away from your table and towards the entrance to this eating area. For you, Tyken, a familiar visage. For the rest of you, a stranger walks in, a hardened face, an older human male wearing full plate armor adorned with gold symbols. He saunters in, giving small waves to a few people. Tyken, you know this to be Master Sagar Forge, the Master Paladin here in the temple.
I immediately stand up.
He, as you go to stand, just kind of waves you back down to sit, before looking over the group and saying, "I believe we're ready to see all of you, or just yourself, Tyken, whoever wants to come."
Yes, sir.
Mitra hefts up the mirror and begins to follow. Or no, she doesn't follow. She makes her own way independently. Though before she takes more than a few steps, she stops to look back at Shynda and Laura and says, "Think about it. Well, hopefully I shouldn't be gone too long. And if you think your actions are, well, there is something you wish to do, I cannot stop you. I just ask you to consider it. There is so much more you can lose, so much more than you even understand." And with that, she turns and walks away with the mirror.
I mean, I head to the meeting.
Absolutely. Shynda and Laura, are you heading with?
What we head with? I think that Laura would want to go home. So.
Okay.
Wait, where are you going?
I need to say goodbye to Dad before I go. And I don't really want to stay here any moment longer. I hate this place.
Yeah. I don't think it's safe to leave anymore.
Why not?
What do you mean, why not? Were you there?
It's not far from here.
I'm saying we. Maybe this thing will make us leave, but we can't leave like this.
You want to wait for them?
I don't want to wait for anything. I want to leave, but we can't leave like this.
How?
What if she's right, and we can have spooky, eight-legged bullshit coming out of mirrors everywhere.
So what do you want to do? Smash all the mirrors everywhere? Look, I'm just gonna say bye to Dan. I'll come back. And I guess we'll figure it out with the Goliath group.
Okay. Okay.
You can come with, or you can stay here, whichever you prefer.
I don't know. Which one should I do?
Uh, where do you feel safe? Okay, come with.
Okay.
Okay, so the two of you are heading back home, along with our friends going to the meeting. I guess we'll start with Tyken and Mitra going to the meeting. You guys follow at a fairly brisk pace the older human form of the High Paladin, Master Paladin. Yeah. You head up a few flights of stairs before walking deeper through a large stone door, intricately carved with runes nearly covering the front surface. Tyken, you've only been behind this door once in your entire life. Heading deeper within, you arrive in a very large plinth, this circular space, with a massive anvil, this strange metal object with specks of almost starlight hidden within it. Tyken, you know this to be Farrier's Anvil, a very important icon and tool for your people. Mitra, you've never seen an anvil of this scale before. The thing stands nearly 3 meters tall and easily could weigh more than some buildings from appearances. But it stands high. There's a large desk in front of it, and there sits an older elven form, along with now someone you now know to be Norlin, Tyken's mother. And as Sagar walks in, he takes a seat at the front of it, and there are 2 more chairs put in front as well. And you're all given time to sit down if you'd like.
I'll go ahead and sit.
Mitra stands, but she does place the mirror down and has a hand on top of the frame.
Okay.
Of course, yeah.
It's at this point that the surprisingly rough voice emerges from this elderly elf. Hello, I am Arwen, the High Cleric here. You met me yesterday. I can't help but apologize to you, Norlin and Tyken. We weren't prepared for an event such as that. Regarding the object, and he points with a gnarled hand towards that frame of the mirror in Mitra's palm. What do you plan on doing with it?
She just shrugs. I'm not sure yet, but
If
I
it
feel it.
if it can be
better.
safely destroyed, that probably wouldn't be a bad thing.
He takes a long moment, the wearied eyes lingering on the frame, before he goes, We have a place deeper within the forge itself where we keep objects that are simply too powerful to be destroyed or too dangerous. Another perk of our jobs in this world. We could take it in there for the time being, and if something changes, only the most capable here will be around to fight it. If there is another attack that comes through. It's certainly not safe in the hands of a far traveler.
She silently considers it, but eventually offers quick nod. And says, I'm aware of your group's desire to protect those things it deems too dangerous for others. It is a burden. I doubt either myself or my kin would be, well, happy to bear. She, just like gently taps the top of the frame of the window, covered mirror, of the covered mirror, and says, if you believe yourselves capable of containing this, I shan't stop you. It would be
Well,
better than sacrificing myself.
I personally have had dealings with others of your kind, and while they have uses, I feel that for Farrier's guidance, we could keep it much safer than being in the wilds. I would dread to think of the attack that might come, unprepared for your children, those who don't venture out to brave these fights. Your kind have their uses, but we're much more accustomed to the long-term holding of these items.
It's as you say. Far better are you and yours to contain this.
Thagar, at this point, moving in his heavy plate mail, takes a step towards you and kind of holds a hand out to try and take the mirror from you. You can see a slight tentativeness, but definitely a confidence in the way that he moves, that he's not afraid of you, more than afraid of the mirror.
As he reaches out, Mitra holds the mirror in place for him to take, and once she believes he has a firm enough grasp, she pulls her hand back and just crosses her arms instead.
He lifts the fairly heavy frame with an ease you don't expect for a man of his stature. He only stands 5'7", less than 2 meters, significantly less than 2 meters. But he hefts the thing and begins walking around the actual anvil itself. Tyken, you've never known that there was a repository for items that were not of Farrier's light. But apparently there is, given the circumstance. You hear him venture for a time before hearing the shifting of stone, but not being in field of view, you can't tell where he is taking this object.
Well, I'm definitely like head
Yeah,
peeking,
doing the little head peek, yeah.
trying to see.
You feel Norland's hand come to rest on your shoulder as you do this, trying to pull you back into the conversation. It's at this point that she speaks and kind of turns to you. She goes, You did well yesterday, I think. But I do wonder what your plans are. Master Arwen here told me that he's willing to give you the right. If you'd like now, you've earned it. I don't know that I agree. You're still young, but...
About the ceremony. You've known for a while that I've always wanted answers on certain subjects. And I don't think I'm gonna find them here.
You see, not anger, but a sadness and a twinge of something else as you say that, before she nods begrudgingly and turns towards Arwen. I think my son wants to find his own way for a time. Maybe come back and find the right waiting for him, if that's acceptable. Arwen at this point looks at you, and there is a fire behind his eyes, one you don't normally see. He is not an angry man, but certainly not pleased with your response to the offer.
Oh,
Um,
they both absolutely know exactly what I'm talking about, though.
yes.
Yeah.
Arwen at this point just looks at you and goes, "Fine. If this is how it must be, I hate to lose one so bright and promising in the future, but surely I will still stand here when you return." I guess be on your way then. Gifts and boons you have already earned from us, and Farrier's light will hold you. Norlin, if I may have a moment with you, and he kind of gets up and starts walking behind the forge, and she follows along. You and Mitra are left alone for a moment as Sagar returns. Sagar at this point looks at you with a firm but kind eye, definitely having enjoyed your presence in recent months. He goes, I know what you plan to do, but I do wonder if it's the right choice.
I wonder that myself. But the only way to find out is to seek it out.
Well, lineage is important, albeit I do wonder, in the case of your mother and her antics. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
At this point, he turns to you, Mitra. Are you planning on staying with him?
I plan on staying with all those who witness what we did. She glanced up at Norlin for a moment before looking back at the man and says, but for the foreseeable future, yes.
Sagar at this point kind of looks back towards Arwen and Norlin as well, and then looks back to you and goes, then all I can ask is keep him safe. He isn't, in my opinion, ready yet, but if it is time, it is time, and I won't suppress him any longer with teachings and training. I will... And he reaches for a pouch on his hip. He pulls out a large sack of gold that's hung there, roughly 400. He hands the bag to you, Mitra, rather than you, Tyken. Spread this among your group then, and see to it that you are well clothed and ready. Cold. It is growing worse. Be ashamed to lose one so bright. To not put the environment here.
She hesitates before taking it, and she says, I can make no promises as to his well-being. All those who take up arms must know that one day they can fall in battle. What I can say is, however, those I fight with, I'll fight with them as though they were my own flesh and blood.
Hear, hear. To lineage and family. And he places a hand back on the longsword at his hip and takes off up the stairs, leading you back out of the forge. As you're walking out, you would hear your mother begin a screaming match with Arwen. One that isn't the most graceful or kind, but certainly one that you've heard a few times over the years, Tyken.
Do I make anything out of what's being said?
It's mostly, you could have kept him here. It's anger over you leaving more than anything.
Right.
And Arwen returning with, your choices have brought this on yourself. Very pointed painful things for her to actually face. As you guys get back out of the forge, you hear the same sliding of stone as those heavy doors fall into place before a large hum begins. And you're given a moment back in the main thoroughfare, which you could return to the eating area or other places. But at this point, we'll go ahead and jump over to Lara and Cheyenda. Lara, right as you step out of the main doorway to the Temple of Farrier back into the Market and Chapel district of Whitespire, the first thing that catches your eye is the form of a older man, probably not too far off in age from Cheyenda, who is probably closely trying to follow you, but not paying too much attention at the moment. But a form of an older man lying still on the stone at the base of the steps to the Temple of Fairy.
Well, this is it.
As you step closer, you realize that the form of this older man is, for lack of a better term, frozen, solid. He is expired due to the elements, it seems. Something that you've faced before once or twice over your lifetime here. People do occasionally get drunk and walk out into the night before falling to the elements over the course of an evening. These evenings being very long, obviously. But it is becoming more common, and worryingly so. It's happened probably 3 or 4 times in the past month. And it used to be something you wouldn't see but once a year. At this point, Cheyenda, you probably would have noticed the older man frozen to the stone here.
Well, we have to get him somewhere.
Where he's dead.
Yeah, well, why don't you go and I'll take care of her.
Are you sure you can do it alone?
Do I look frail to you?
No, I'm sorry. And Laura will quickly walk away.
Okay. Cheyenda, how do you go about disposing of this body?
We're not. Wait, I confused myself. I think we're not too far. It was just outside the Temple of Feria, right?
Literally on the steps, yeah.
I'm literally gonna go back in, and I'm gonna find an orderly or something. I'm gonna poke, like, hey, there's dead person right outside.
He goes for a sword on his hip, a short sword, and he goes like,
Hey,
right outside?
right outside.
Did
You
you
can't
do
miss
it?
him. No.
Roll persuasion.
You hesitated.
That sounded so guilty.
I know, right?
You know what I don't have, guys? I
You
don't think I
have
have my dice.
Oh no.
Oh no.
That'd be a 24.
Holy shit.
Damn.
Okay. The moment of hesitation registers for this man, but he very quickly subsides to believing the overwhelming force of your charismatic older form, you silver fox you.
Go check it out.
He takes off in a jog out of the doors at the front of the temple before finding the body, and you hear him call out quickly, I need a hand here. And a few other people come running over, and they begin ushering the body inside to be dealt with. Okay. For you, Lara, it isn't a very far walk. Your father's store is in the housing district, which is somewhere in the middle of this market and chapel district, and a industrial district, and you take the maybe 5-minute walk over before arriving at a kind of rustic house with a large sign on top that's been wearied from ice and the cold and the wind here. You see before you you know, the bold sign of your father's store, Taftell's Grand Elixirs. Um, and the door itself has a sign that says open, and it seems to be ready to go for business for the day.
Laura will walk in and proceed to look for her father.
Okay. You don't make it more than a few steps before you reach the inside of the store and then arrive at a counter to see the familiar sight of your father, basically just waiting for someone to come in for the day. That first by the boring early morning at a selling job.
Why, hello. Is there anybody there? I'd like to buy a hug.
Oh, you're too poor for all that. And then he kind
Too
of gives a
poor?
wry grin and then steps out and gives you a hug. The familiar face of your almost elven father. Sharp ears, but not extreme. The wearied hands kind of clapping the back of your armor before he kind of turns with a kind eye and goes, I'm glad you're okay. I heard that things were messy yesterday.
Yeah. Mom is okay too. Sadly.
He just kind of looks wearied, but not angry.
And yeah, it was a bit much. How are you? How was last night for you? Did anything happen?
Well, I sold a few things, but it was a very normal day for me. There were a few paladins that came through, bought a couple of potions, but it seems to be another day in paradise.
I see. The you know the thing that I brought when I was young.
Yes,
Are they doing okay?
absolutely. I,
Okay.
I I keep them fed and watered. But yes, are you still planning on leaving?
Yeah.
That might get a little messy. The gates are still closed from yesterday, apparently on orders from the High Cleric and the Duke.
I think we'll find a way through. I mean,
Or you can. I worry for your friend. And he kind of, acts like an old person goofily for a moment.
I'm sure he'll be fine. I mean, he was actually there with me last night, and I would dare say he held his own.
Now that is surprising. Here, and he reaches for one of the mini pouches across his belt and just kind of like tugs it off, the clasp on the back coming off, and hands it to you. The pouch is roughly a hand's width, and inside you can see 2 deep red potions inside. He goes, in case things get bad, these might help lessen the pain, maybe mend small wounds. I can't
Thank
send
you
you
for
empty handed, even if it is an expensive loss for the store.
Are you sure about this? And I'll like put it in my backpack as I do, because
No
I
hesitation. I
definitely
am
know,
taking
like,
these healing potions, PM.
yes, but still, I'll be like, I mean, didn't you say there were no customers
This is your
today yet?
retirement fund.
He gives you a wry grin and kind of looks at you and just goes, I can make the money back. I'll be fine while you're gone. Although running the errands will be less fun because I will have to do them. Yes, I'll be fine. All I
You
worry is
know,
that you will be.
you can always use, little Luke. I mean, he loves your shop.
Sure, but I will miss relying on you for all of the more boring aspects of my work. And he kind of returns back to a small station that you're used to seeing him at all the time. mixing things while he talks. It's almost like this, talking to dad while he cooks at the grill thing that you're very used to. And he goes, "Are you sure you have everything? I don't want you to forget something important." And he kind of turns with like a teddy bear in hand, and he goes, "You won't need this," and just tosses it off to the side, like.
Yeah. No, I won't need that. Sure. Yeah. Just be safe and, if possible, take care. And I'll um, I'll be sure to come and visit. And, if I do make it big, I'll make sure that you don't have to work anymore, because I know how hard you work.
Now that would be wonderful. Um, do you have money enough to pay for food and things?
I have money. Yes, Dad. Don't worry. Just make sure this shop stays afloat. I have more than enough money.
Okay, good. And you can see he's trying to shake off the stress of leaving home, really leaving home for the first time since you moved here in your youth. Um,
In fact, didn't you say like you were a little bit strapped? Oh gosh.
Always, but I'll make do. There's no need.
Right. I still remember like how you started this place, and while talking, I'll like go towards the counter,
Mhm.
and how it used to be so little. Yeah, I miss Mom sometimes, but he seems so different. Uh, so I guess I miss old Mom.
He is to change people. Some of us more than others. I certainly am still doing the same, and he just looks around the store with a kind, happy eye.
And
Um,
while talking, I'd like to try and slip like 60 gold pieces into the register.
Absolutely. Go ahead and roll sleight of hand.
Like, let's see. I rolled a 19.
Okay, very easily. You take the large sum of gold in your hand and slip it a few pieces at a time in while he looks around the room, kind of distracted by his work and the memories of this place. Um, you could almost swear as you're watching him while you do this, paying almost no attention to the deftness of touch and hand that you're using. You could swear he sees you running and playing in the store at a much younger age, kind of lost in the memories for a moment before snapping and coming to, and he goes, "Well, I I have nothing else to give you." So,
I know that.
um, and he gives you another hug before kind of, awkwardly shuffling back to his little station and continuing his work for the day.
I'll uh, I'll let people outside know about your store. Maybe get a few more customers.
Well, one day the Grand Elixirs will be famous then once.
And Laura will take her leave.
Okay. Are you trying to stealth to grab the teddy bear before you go?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a stealth check.
Let's see. 19 again.
Outstanding. Yeah, you, without him even noticing, take a slight kind of skip hop step, acting like you're tying a boot, and snatch it up and slip it into the back of your pack quickly. Um, Before leaving, the familiar sound of the bell ringing as you open the door, and then it closes again. Stepping back out into the kind of bitter cold and cobblestone streets here in the Spire. Um, it'd be about this point, Shyenda, that you would probably make it to the Grand Elixir. You've been here maybe once or twice in your life, but it's not an unfamiliar sight.
Wait, do I actually like cross her on the street, or do I just
Basically, yeah. This village is so small that the paths to get to places are very one way.
Oh, so you're done already?
I mean, yeah. If you want to say hi, he's inside.
No, I don't know. No.
All right. Shall we head back? What took you so long?
I really pitched in.
Okay. You didn't hurt your back, right?
No.
Okay, good, good. And as we walk, like Laura will probably like walk past you, and as you do, you'll probably see like the little teddy bear head, like right sticking out from the backpack.
What's that
What are you
for?
waiting for?
I'm not waiting for anything.
What do you mean? What? Huh? What?
I just you have a thing in your thing.
In my backpack?
Yeah. You have a
You mean this?
yeah.
Um, it's that wouldn't let me leave without it.
Okay. He knows you're well, I forgot your age, but he knows you're old, right?
Yeah, yeah, but you know, what can you do?
You know, it's really none of my business.
And Laura will stick it deeper into the backpack so nobody else can see it. Let's let's go. They probably are waiting, and we need to make sure they don't leave without us.
Right. Hmm. I'm right behind you. Right behind.
Laura will kind of pick up the pace as we walk.
Okay. Just a small aside to all DMs and players. You can have happy home lives on your characters. It is a totally normal thing. Doesn't have to be all dead parents, and that's coming from Cyrus Feltr. But you take the short walk back through the cold city streets, walking past the familiar sight of a large tavern called the Lantern that is pretty much the only tavern in town. People rent rooms occasionally, but most of the time it is just go to the tavern and stay if you don't live here. You see the familiar sights of the large glacial wall that runs along the back of Whitespire Castle, the actual castle. The familiar form of a frozen dragon buried within, kind of just skin and bone, the nose bone piercing through part of the glacier right over the castle, hence the name Whitespire. Before arriving back at the surprisingly large site of this Temple of Farrier. Other than Whitespire Castle, it is easily the largest building in the city. And ascending the steps, you're led inside immediately. The people are very familiar with the sight of you at this point and have definitely been given orders to let you in and be unbothered. Tyken and Mitra, where are you guys at? What are you doing during this time? Back to eating again?
I mean, I probably would have spent most of the time gathering my what little gear I have, what little belongings I have to take with me.
Yeah. And
Say-
Mitra wears all she owns, I assume?
Yeah. Would have taken the time to say goodbye to any, my friends from, training, whatever.
Yeah.
Just that kind of stuff. So probably by the time they're getting back, I'd be finishing up. Probably ready to leave.
Mitra, I believe you are muted, my friend.
Thank you. Mitra would make a note to tell someone who looks official about the liquid in her room.
You would definitely have the opportunity to tell Sagar as he walks you back out.
Yeah, she would do that because it's like it's not my place.
Definitely
and,
important.
I don't know. Someone goes in there and there's some weird creature. It would be unfortunate, huh?
Yeah.
So she does mention that. And after all the serious stuff is out of the way, she decides to eat because everyone else has eaten and she hasn't because she's been all business.
Absolutely.
And she didn't eat the night before either. So everyone gets to see how much a Goliath eats. And I'm sure that's something interesting, maybe.
Tyken, as you come back down the stairs from gathering your things and saying your goodbyes to the other paladins in training and a couple of the lower clerics, you see this kind of... He's vaguely familiar, although you don't know his name, this large dwarf in kind of rags with a large apron, and he's got this big spoon and he's pointing at Mitra like, "You go away. Stop eating all my food. I don't have the time in the day." And Mitra's still got this huge plate, just, trying to loom away and get to a table to continue eating.
Yeah, she's like protesting in Dwarvish because she speaks Dwarvish. So
Right.
she's
I
come
get-
on.
Yeah.
Look, in a long day, a longer morning.
As I see this, I just kind of look over at Mitra. Try the milk with chocolate. And just kind of keep
Look.
going.
Looks at Tykin, gives him a nod, and then goes right back to like harassing this fucking
Absolutely.
cook.
For you guys, Laura and Shayanda, you'd get back about this time. Mitra sitting back down with a large plate of food and chocolate milk. And Tykin just kind of happily sitting there watching the shenanigans go on. It's a strange dynamic because most of you have had a very strange and vaguely sad day, and now you're seeing Mitra for what Mitra can be, maybe.
Kind of see Tyken just kind of slowly starting to put different things. Here, try this and this. You know that scene from Pirates of the Caribbean? Here, try the apples. One of them too. You know, like.
Yeah, she's like whatever's offered, she's giving it a try because why not? Why not? When you're at a place that has a sort of variety of food, it wouldn't hurt to try it.
Absolutely, and you can eat your fill here. This place is not hurt for food. In fact, the area you're in is used a few times a week for a soup kitchen for the needy here in this town. And they just let them kind of have free reign, so it's not an insurmountable thing that you could eat your fill and then some here, even in your massive Goliath form.
What she does is important to be well fed and well hydrated.
Absolutely. Drink water, stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. But yes, that was probably what she's going to be doing. Living in the now,
Okay, well, you are all brought back together in the same eating area you were just in.
I guess as they come back in, you kind of just see Tyken kind of slap his backpack. So, where are we off to?
You're coming along.
Yes. Just kind of this big grin on his face, kind of all excited to spend time with his sister and get out of here.
Mom is okay with this?
She will be.
You didn't tell Mom?
Oh no, she knows. I'm just saying, she'll eventually be okay with it. Probably.
Another thing she'll hate me for. Okay.
There's other reasons for this one. This is not on you.
The church is letting you go?
That too.
What? Aren't you like the prized
No, they're
pupil?
not. I mean, they're letting me leave, but they're not forcing me to leave. Like, this is my choice. They're just kind of.
What exactly are you hoping to find there, like outside there, other than danger and possibly death?
I don't know. But we like we're kids.
Right. Okay. I
That
guess
maybe
the more the
don't get us
merrier.
into trouble.
I did not get us into trouble.
You did.
It wasn't my fault.
Telling yourself that.
Anyway. Where's the mirror?
Oh, it's gonna stay here.
Oh. Okay. Wait, so you're both coming along?
Mitra puts down her large cup, and wipes her mouth, as she's probably done for now. And she looks at Lara, and there's a bit of hesitation before she speaks, and she says, which is why I asked, where are the two of you going?
It's complicated. Um, we're looking for a place, but we don't exactly know where it is. We just know it's not here. When we find it, we'll know.
What if you don't find it?
We will.
Do you know what it looks like?
It's a beautiful place. A place of rest and harmony.
Where it's not damn cold every time you wake up to my heart.
Right. You have no idea where this is at.
Do you?
Like, don't even
No.
know a direction to go?
Uh, no, not really. I mean, I was kind of hoping maybe Mitra, since, Mitra has traveled, would know of such a place.
Right. Well, you do
Nature, if you'd
that.
like to, you could make a nature check or a survival check for me.
Oh,
Well, you are doing that. I'm gonna be right back, and then I'm gonna get up and walk away. You can do your thing, and then we'll come to that in a minute.
okay. Survival, you say?
Yep, nature or survival, whichever you'd like.
Survival. Wow, that's an 11.
With an 11, a place that isn't always cold is hard to find. In your years of traveling, the further south you go here in the Hollow, there does tend to be some variation in weather rather than it just being biting cold all the time. You would assume probably south is the best direction, but hard to say. You've definitely never heard of somewhere that's beautiful and has rest and repose and all of those things going on, but your best bet's probably south.
Yeah, she finds the very idea funny, and she can't help but laugh a bit, and says, "A place like that existing is ah, sounds like a fairy tale. But yes, perhaps your best bet is to travel south. Ah, that reminds me. She reaches into her pockets and because she's big, she's got big pockets. There we go. And she pulls out the the sack of gold that she was handed earlier, and she places it down on the table. Um, there's a smaller object that comes out as well, unintentionally. So as the sack is put down, this trinket kind of clashes against the table and comes to rest. Um, she looks back up at the others and says, "If you're traveling, they wanted me to share this amongst us." And she gestured at the sack. It's 400 gold pieces. I believe that's. She takes a moment. 100 gold apiece. Would you like your money, or shall I hold on to it?
Well, I think dividing it is good. I assume everybody here can be responsible with their own portion.
I'm currently not there.
Dianda, have you ever seen a sum of gold that high?
Nope.
Okay.
You're giving this away?
He looks at Shanda and says, "It is not mine to keep. It was for the four of us. So, I am offering it as it was offered to me."
I don't want it.
What?
I don't want it. You keep it.
What?
I don't want it.
Okay.
Very well. She lifts the sack and stows it away and says, "Perhaps when you have need of it, you can find me."
I said I didn't want it. What? Why do I have to repeat myself? I said I didn't want it, so you keep it.
He just looks at him and looks at Laura, but she doesn't say anything. She notices the trinket on the table and takes it in her hand and stows it elsewhere, not in the same pocket as the pouch. And then she gets to her feet and says, "I'll be outside." And then she takes her leave.
So where are we going?
We're going south.
Oh, okay. What's south?
Well, hopefully, whatever is south is what we need to find.
Well, okay, but what's actually there?
I don't know.
You know, should we buy a guide or you know shit? What's the name of the place again? Fuck. What's the name of the region? It's something is hollow.
The Northstrand Hollow.
Northstrand Hollow. Right. We should buy the Northstrand Hollow's guide for dummies. You know. Here, last year's edition's really good. We don't want
We
to finish
could.
like that guy. You know, we don't want to finish it. I mean, see? Did you see that guy on the steps of the fairy
I
temple?
did. Yes. Yes. I did.
Yeah. Well, this is how they treat their people. You know, it's all fine inside, and then right on their doorstep, they just you're just gonna die of cold. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
Good riddance.
All right. Let's find a guide. Do you know where to find one?
I thought you might. Hey, you're the one already always going off and doing things. I like to stay indoors.
Can I try to think of a place where we might find a guide?
Go ahead and roll me a history check.
History.
Can I also roll?
Absolutely.
That one, baby. I know nothing.
18.
With an 18, you think your best bet to find any map? Probably not going to find a massive map of the entire region. But the best place you would probably have is the general store in the market district, right towards the gate that you guys came in at the beginning of your stay here.
So, you don't know?
Nothing comes to mind now. Do
Wow.
you?
Well, yes. I was testing you. You failed. Okay, come on,
Oh.
follow me.
Okay.
Come on,
Tyken?
chop chop.
What are you up to, buddy?
I'm going to go to the main, like, prayer chambers. Light some candles and some incense and pray.
Okay. Why don't you give me a religion check at advantage, since this is home turf for you?
They have a choir in the back.
As you sit in a fairly large flat room, there aren't actually any chairs in here. This is mostly used for clerical work. You kneel down amongst a smattering of candles and a few religious texts and books of history. Lineage being an important marker of farrier, obviously there are plenty of books on this person rather than just oral tradition and history. You take some time and try to clear your mind of the excitement for the adventure that comes and the dread at the thought of being hunted by that eye you saw through the mirror. And eventually you do find some peace within yourself and begin just waiting for anything to happen. Vision, a gift, a speech, something like you've received once before. And after a short time, your physical form is no longer in your mind's eye. You're in this liminal space, this kind of dull gray and gold glow around you. At the very edges of it, there's this darkness, this inescapable black lining. And then it begins to clear. Your vision less muddied and more real. It's almost like you're somewhere new. The black lines at the edges begin to grow before slowly encompassing the entirety of your vision. This darkness just swelling around you. And you see that same city, that floating thing. Go ahead and roll me a perception check.
Three.
You see the same strange winged creatures floating and flitting about the space. Those same high towers cracked and crumbling. But you don't notice anything new about it. You just see the same vision again. Before very quickly, that dot of gold that was around you reappears, and a comfort fills your heart again. The darkness gone, requited for a moment. And you feel a warmth and a comfort and a safety in Farrier's light. But you don't see anything new or sense any new gifts or boons.
Assume I wake up at some point, kind of.
Yep.
So I just see that same thing I saw, essentially.
Yes.
No word from Farrier or anyone, nothing was said.
Nope. No new words, no new guidance. Just you focusing on almost a blemish in the holy light that fills you. And then finding something within that blemish, but not getting anything new from it.
Right. He'll just kind of say to himself, well, you're not going to help me or guide me what any of this is. What good are you? And he takes off his holy symbol and leaves it, walks out.
Okay. Newly disarmed of your holy symbol, you begin making your way outside, seeing that your friends are no longer gorging themselves on the fine food here in the temple. Mitra, would you have gone with Lara and Shayenda, or would you have waited for Tyken?
I presume the two of them had left the temple, right?
Yeah, they basically just go wandering by, probably giving a nod, heading towards the market district. Oh, pardon me.
Okay. She would have considered walking off if let's see. I would say that she stayed only because, of course, Tykin had left elsewhere before she had left. And she's not going to think that he's just going to up and out. Yeah, she does think those other two are like a flight risk.
Okay.
So, it is a bit of a coin flip. But, Despite the nature of her journey being a solo one, she recognizes that there is safety in numbers, so she would wait. She would have
Right.
waited.
So, Tyken, you take your time trying to learn more about these visions you've been having, and eventually arrive back outside the Temple of Farrier, meeting the familiar form of Mitra, just kind of waiting on the steps.
So, what direction?
He points towards the market.
Okay.
All right. Lara and Shaenda, you guys arrive at Whitespire General fairly quickly and are greeted by the probably not a super familiar face. A man named Darren. He's a half elf. Although you wouldn't know it at first glance, the ears have been rounded. The points are gone entirely, and you can see old scars line them. Lara, you've been to the general store a number of times for your father, and you remember Darren telling you at one point of a story of him getting lost and breaking a leg while out climbing in the area. And he lost the tips of his ears to frostbite trying to make it home on a bum leg. But he gives you a friendly smile and a wave, and he goes, "Ah, Lara, how are you?"
Yeah, I'm good, but we're here for a map. Actually, well, any map if you have any.
He takes a moment. Let me see what he's got.
An accurate one.
He scrambles through some papers and through a few like pamphlets and small books before arriving at a map that is basically just the city of Whitespire. And he just kind of presents it to yourself, and he goes, "This is the best I have. I'm not really a cartographer. I mean, I mapped the city for people who come and go, the tourists and the workers for the companies that come here, but I don't have much else other than this. I don't go out anymore." The leg, and he just kind of gestures, and it's got this kind of strange mechanical brace that keeps it in place well.
Do you know anybody who goes south? I mean, some.
A few people. I know there's a town called Ice Barrow eventually, but I don't know how far it is. And he goes, "Are you planning on leaving soon? They're building a train yard here, but it's starting from the north, and it'll be a while before it goes any further south."
Well, maybe we can hitch a ride or something.
If you're heading north, you could probably try.
Well, no, not north. We're definitely not heading north. North is hell.
I agree. He kind of gives like a worried rub to the nubs on his ears.
So, south it is. Yeah. Well, we'll need solid furs and tons of food and food. I said that. Lara. Hey, Lara.
Yeah.
Mind helping me here?
Right, you need me to pay?
No.
Harry?
I don't know. I need you to figure things out.
Right, okay. We're gonna need a few things. We're gonna need some food. We're gonna need warm clothes.
There we
We're gonna
go.
need snowshoes, climbing. Like she'll like go on and on. Like it's
Yeah.
way too much anyway.
Way
but yeah.
too much, okay. At this point, Darren begins like running around the store. He's still fairly spry, even though that leg is braced up and very clearly damaged. But he begins gathering up these large furs that are big enough to make tents.
Oh, hey, do you have those brushies to brush your back?
Brush your back?
Yeah. You know.
Ah! He pulls out a small, it looks like finely hewn brass back
Thank you.
scratcher. At about this time, Tyken and Mitra, you guys would arrive at White Spire General. There aren't any other stores, really. There's a place called Lansing Capricite that's like a gas and oil group. And they're fairly newly established, but the only real store in town is White Spire General. So you would very quickly make your way there.
You give me my 100 gold, Mitra.
Oh, give me more money.
I mean,
Um,
if I'm buying anything that's important that I have, if not, you don't have to give it to me. It's up to you. I'm just saying. I wasn't there for that conversation when you just burst it.
she looks at Tykin and she doesn't say anything. She just reaches into her pocket, pulls out the set, sticks her hand in, pulls out a handful of gold. There you go. Just hands it over. Looks about right. I'm not really counting it. Here you go.
You can mark down 93 gold, Tyken.
Sounds good.
You shorted him by a little, but we'll say it's a no.
Jesus, yeah, well.
It wasn't willful evil, it's not malevolence, it's just, here's a handful, it'll work. You guys would arrive inside, and Tyken, you've spoken to Darren a number of times. Not a lot, you don't have much need for the general store, but you've been here before, on off days. And Darren kind of gives a wave while running around quickly gathering leathers and food and furs and just everything he could possibly think of to grab for you guys for this trip. And you see this mountain of shit on the counter in front of Shayenda and Lara. It's a lot. Like a lot for 4 people to carry, maybe even a lot for a pack animal of some kind to carry for you guys. But Lara's still just listing things continuously, almost unendingly.
Do we really need all of this?
Have you ever been outside?
No, but it seems like a lot for us to carry.
It never hurts to be prepared.
I'm
Never.
not wrong, but how are we gonna transport all of this?
I said never.
I mean, like,
Well, you're just gonna have to strap it on, put it on, and we'll go.
No. It just means we're missing something. We need a big carriage.
Carriage.
carriage, probably
yeah.
some horses to pull it.
Sure. Some big turtles or some kind of, pulling animal. I don't care.
Probably find that at the stables. I assume there's just stables around here somewhere.
We
Yes,
can find
there
a
is.
big ass spider to pull the carriage. It'll be the best carriage ever.
I'll puke, I hate spiders.
How the fuck do you expect horses to live underground? So,
I guess I'll go to the stables and try to.
we can go late. I don't care, but I'm telling you.
I mean, I'm not carrying all this to the stables. I'll bring the,
Well,
the horses here.
I'm not walking days in, day out.
Right.
I've got old bones to carry.
Well, exactly. That's why we need a carriage and some horses, so you can ride on the cart.
Horses.
Yeah.
What the fuck is a horse? What's your problem?
You've never seen a horse before?
Those don't exist. It's a myth.
No, they do exist.
No, they
Laura
don't.
stole them a couple times.
I'm older than you.
What?
I know better.
Laura, you and Tyken both have encountered horses in your time, although they are extremely expensive and rare animals. They're brought down from the surface by surfacers and traded for extravagant sums of gold.
Larry, tell him horses are foolishness.
No, horses are real.
Oh, wait, now you're lying too. Okay, I see how it is.
Yeah,
Fine.
I'm telling you, she stole them at some point.
I didn't
Got us in
steal
trouble.
Okay.
Yes.
horses.
We got in trouble, or at least I did.
I liberated the horses.
Call it what you will.
They had really bad owners.
Yeah, I do remember
Okay.
that part.
Look, if we really want horses, I know of a place.
We just
Well,
want
let's head to
something
the
for the
stables first.
carriage.
Yeah, I don't know
We
that.
don't have a carriage.
We're gonna go
Well, we
get
just
one.
get one.
Okay, well,
I'll be
We
Suit
right
do
back,
yourself.
it.
and I'm gonna go find a carriage.
Okay, so you're going to the stables then and asking them for a horse and carriage.
Not necessarily a horse, something that can pull everything. It doesn't have to be a horse, because I know they're probably rare and hard to find. But I'm sure there's some sort of pack animal that can.
Yeah.
I mean, especially in the middle of bumfuck nowhere.
Right.
Okay. Well, you take some short time, and you arrive at a place called Strand Stables that you've been to before, much earlier in your life. Laura, are you going with him to the stables?
Yeah.
Okay. Laura, you see, obviously, a stables that you visit fairly frequently. Your father as well. You see the familiar form of your horse there. Well taken care of, ridden very infrequently for fear of, broken ankles and things like that. The ground here isn't flat and perfect like it would be in our world. And so riding a horse can be a very dangerous thing, not just for the rider, but for the horse itself.
Oh, you see
you're-
Tyken just like staring at Laura like, are you kidding me?
What?
Is that the horse? Looks awfully familiar.
No. Maybe.
They let you keep it?
They didn't necessarily let me keep it. It's more they never found it.
No words.
Okay. You see in the stable, basically a very well-kept, expensive-looking stable for this horse, along with some very run-down, normal-looking stables near it. You don't see horses in these stables, though. You see this very large pack animal called a rothe, a deep rothe, that is, for lack of a better description, Bantha-esque from Star Wars, something like that. A very heavy pack animal, long fur and curled horns. And these are what are used for most any pack mule type job in this area. But you are presented with Lara's horse and a number of rothe that you could buy if you wanted. Although they wouldn't work well together. So
Right.
that is a thought you would have. You're offered the carriage and the feed for whatever animal you would want to buy for 101 gold.
That's oddly specific.
The 1 gold is for the feed. The 100 is for the carriage itself.
Right.
And then for buying the rothe, they would each be 20 gold. And you'd probably want 2 of them to pull a carriage of this size with all the shit that you need to bring along.
So, in total, 100 and what, 41?
Yes,
That would
roughly.
Okay. Are we taking your horse, or are you leaving it here?
You seem really bothered by the fact that my horse is here. I mean, you cannot have a horse and something else carry
Right.
something.
Will your
I mean,
precious horse that you liberated be enough to pull this carriage full of us and that stuff?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean,
We'll take 2 of the things and the carriage and a week's worth of feed, probably.
So, with the 1 extra gold for food, you'll have food for at least the long foreseeable future for these things. Feed is not expensive.
Right.
And it's something that I would rather not factor into our adventures too often.
Right. Enough to last for however long.
Yeah. So
The
for
next-
the 2 of you,
to the
you
next
just need to
town
mark
that we come
off.
to, whatever.
Right. For the 2 of you, just need to mark off 141 gold between you, if you have it.
Yeah, we should. Right. I got it. Keep your money.
Okay.
okay.
So you go ahead and get the carriage and the 2 rothe. He bridles them up and gets all of their work done ready to go. They're hardy animals, and they seem very prepared and ready to work. And they're not unfriendly by any means. They're very calm, cow-like creatures. Certainly not fast by any means, but definitely better than walking. Um, and you guys begin to ride. Whoever would like to go ahead and make an animal handling check for me as they drive this carriage into town.
Not it.
Not it.
Lara, looks like you're up.
I hardly driven my horse, man.
Driven. I've hardly driven my horse.
Driven.
I'm gonna whip this thing. I got this.
Whatever. Anyway, like clearly I'm out of my element because I rolled a one,
Nat one or a dirty one?
dirty one.
Okay. You climb on to the carriage up in the driving seats and begin to kind of lash the animal with the leads. It takes a few steps before kind of stopping again and not really wanting to move, just milling about, kind of chewing down into the snow. Doesn't seem to be working too well for you there, Lara.
Did you feed them yet? They're not really doing what I want them to do.
I guess I'll get out some feed and go to the and just kind of lead them along.
Yeah. We'll say you don't need to make a check for that. It's a slower process than actually using your carriage, but you do lead them back, just kind of holding a handful of food, walking the whole way. You guys arrive back at the general store and can go inside to handle any buying of goods and supplies you need to now. Getting back in, Darren has been doing math as fast as he can on all of these things. And it looks to be roughly 75 gold worth of supply for snowshoes for everyone, heavy clothes for everyone, food for the next 2 weeks or so, some canteens that are made of a very hefty, thick leather. These kind of not really canteens. I guess they're more like a water bag type thing, water skin. There we go. That looks to be made of rothe leather. But for everything, roughly 75 gold worth of supply.
I just bought 2 fucking banthas and a damn wagon. You all figure this one out.
I'll pay for it.
Okay. Darren helps you load everything up, albeit a little less helpful than the spryness and strength in most of this party. Cheyenne is definitely about as spry as Darren. But you load up, getting ready, before realizing the gates are closed in the town still. And the paladins, lower paladins, that protect the outer wall of the city don't seem too easygoing or agreeable to the idea of opening the gate to let you out.
These aren't paladins of Farrier, right?
A couple of them, yeah. So the
they?
town guard is kind of interspersed with paladins of Farrier.
Right.
Yeah.
Just kind of look at them like, you gonna open that or not?
The one that looks at you is a younger guy. He's taken his right, but he's roughly your age, and he just goes, I'm very sorry, Tyken, but I'm not allowed to. I was told to keep the gates shut. There's been 2 attacks over the course of the night. And at this point, you can see through some gaps near the gate. You actually do see some of that sludge from those same creatures. It looks like the guard has kind of kept them out of the city. But only 1 or 2 of them, not as many as you guys fought the day before.
Come on. Real quick. Just big enough. Big enough where we can get the wagon through. Nobody'll know.
Give me a persuasion check at disadvantage, because come on is the worst way to ask somebody for something.
$16.
16. Not
Yeah.
bad. you take a moment, kind of giving him that look of authority that you've seen your mother do a million times. It's new on you and not very comfortable, but it does land, and the man quickly kind of looks up to the guys at the top, and they grab these large winches and start pulling, and the gate itself actually swings up to open out. Um, he swings it about halfway up. You guys will have to duck a little bit. That carriage is going to be tight, but it will make it through. And as the two of them actually spool up and lift this gate, you see a couple of those large sludgy beasts kind of slop off of the wall as it pushes them out.
Sacred flame.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they light up with a little bit of holy fire, but you guys do finally make your way out of town. As you finally break out of the small city of Whitespire, you are now on your own on the outside of the wall. And I think that's where we're going to take our break. All right. So, you guys have just recently left the city of Whitespire and begun a path along the literally non-existent road south. You have a fairly good grip on directions, being as that all of you have lived down here your entire lives, so you know what direction to head, but there isn't a defined path more than just some kind of ruts in the snow. I need someone to roll animal handling to see how well you guys are driving the Deep Rothe forward.
Well, my animal handling's a -1, so
Here I go. 12.
Well,
it's not bad.
Lara finds a new grasp on how to drive forward this carriage and these pack animals, and you begin making your way forward at a fairly solid pace. You guys begin pushing along the same road that you were on the day before, heading south out of town, passing the church, that you can actually see now a couple of what look to be like the lowest members, the servant type members of the church, and the temple are putting back together and trying to mend as best they can with a little bit of divine power, rebuilding that window. For you, Mitra, you know that if you guys were to stop the carriage and take a short walk, you could probably get back to the campsite that you were at the day before, within the hour or so. But you also know that your people frequently move after an attack, so there's a good chance they won't be there. If you'd like.
No, she'll pass.
Okay. As you guys begin pushing forward, the frozen trees, these myriad of large mushrooms and actual pine-like trees, lining both sides of this path. My music just got immensely loud. Hold on.
As we're traveling along, I guess, for as long as I can, maybe probably once an hour, I'll just pop a Divine Sense just to make sure nothing's...
I do have a question. You left behind what object at the prayer room in the Temple of Faerie?
My holy symbol that I would wear on my neck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the holy symbol that lets you use your holy spells? Question mark?
No, it's not. It's not a. It was just a necklace, like pendant. Like it
Okay.
wasn't. It wasn't like. It was
I wanted
not,
to
it
make
wasn't-
sure.
No, it wasn't an arcane focus. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go ahead and pop a few divine senses, and you don't sense. What is the range on that skill?
60
60 feet?
within 60 feet.
You don't sense anything nearby by any means
Okay.
as you're passing through. The woods are unnaturally quiet, be it by the snow padding sound or, the lack of wildlife because of the bitter cold of this evening.
Just
You've got roughly 2 more days in our world of night, and the cold will grow more severe until daytime hits in a couple of days. You guys have taken the time, I would assume, to wrap yourselves in some of the heavy furs and get on the cold clothes that you bought at the general store before heading out. As you guys head along,
however long we travel for, let me know if we get to 5 hours. So I can just keep marking them off.
okay,
I'm like once an hour until I run out. I'm gonna.
all right. You keep up that divine sense, making sure that you guys are safe, and you seem to be fairly safe. You pass nearly an hour along this kind of wood-strewn path, before arriving at a portion where it looks like 2 trees have broken off and are kind of blocking the road before you, and you'll probably have to deal with that in some way or fashion.
Okay. Anybody want to help?
Mitra offers to help then.
Okay. Lara staying on the carriage, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. If I could have athletics checks from the two of you as you try to lift these fairly thin trees off of the path.
Can I just give Mitra advantage?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Although I think you probably have advantage anyway.
Do I?
I don't know.
No, I have proficiency in athletic.
Okay, well I'll give you advantage and let you roll, because I'm sure yours is higher than mine.
Yeah, +5. That's a 22.
Absolutely. It takes you guys no more than 10 or so minutes as you're lifting these large trees out of the way and kind of sliding them off to the side of the road. As you're doing that, you hear this kind of strange cry. It sounds like the Rothe that you guys have, but it's deeper into the woods, kind of in the direction of those broken trees. But it does sound like some of those large pack animals kind of making panicked, shrieky noises.
I'll pop one.
Uh,
I assume I
Sounds
probably don't
bad.
get anything, but
Nothing right now.
Yeah.
And the Rothe in the carriage begin to start to spook a little bit. They seem startled, at least, looking around really fast. Their big brown eyes kind of beating against you as you look at them. You're like, oh, okay.
yeah, I'm just gonna take a look around, see what I
go ahead
see.
and-
But
Anybody that would like to, you can roll a perception check in this strange moment.
Oh, perception. Okay.
natural 20
Ooh,
Is
for
there,
a team.
for a 19 total.
it's a 1.
Can Laura try to keep the animals calm?
Yeah, go ahead and give me an animal handling check.
13.
You're definitely soothing them pretty comfortably. You kind of climb down out of the seat and start to give them, pats and scritches. These huge animals, they're probably, 2 meters tall, big pack animals, and you're just kind of rubbing them, trying to get them to calm down. You're kind of accustomed to this. Your horse is definitely not the most comfortable in that stable some nights, and you have to go in and actually calm it down. That was a total of 19 for you, Tyken.
But
Mitra, what was
it
your
was a natural
perception?
20.
Yes.
Keep that in mind.
My perception was a 14.
Okay. Shayenda, are you looking around as well, or distracted by the...
I rolled a 1.
Ah, okay. So for
I'm
both
busy.
for both Mitra and Tyken, you hear more than you see at this distance. The sound is padded by the snow, but you're both fairly keen and aware in this moment. You hear a strange kind of hissing, sucking noise deep in the woods alongside these cries from these large pack animals.
Does it sound familiar to anything we've ever heard before? Probably not.
Definitely not you,
not
Tyken.
me, but yeah.
Not
Mitra, with
me.
a 14, it is likely either a large spider or a piercer. These large worm-like beings that cling to the ceilings and drop onto their prey to eat them.
Lovely. Okay, well, she shares that with the others, just in a few words. Could be,
Okay.
We should hurry then. I just go back there, clearing the logs as fast as I can.
Okay. You guys go ahead and pick up the pace a little bit, getting these logs out of the way before climbing back on board the carriage and starting your path again. The noises die out, and you do kind of wonder for a moment if these things are coming your way, but it doesn't seem that they've noticed you.
Still keeping
You're not-
keeping my eyes out. Yeah, not
Absolutely. What all does that ability sense?
my divine sense.
Yes.
Celestial fiends and undead.
Okay, so nothing fires off for you.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys do, being keenly aware and trying to pay attention in that direction, at one point you do see a kind of large, long, what looks to be like a kind of soft entity crawling along the ground at the edge of the woods, but you don't actually have to stop or fight it. The Rothe pick up the pace naturally, sensing the danger, and leaving this thing far behind fairly quickly. You all keep making your way along this forest path when suddenly it opens into a much larger portion of this cavern, the trees falling away, and now you're kind of at this multi-tiered frozen expanse. It looks like a tundra, except there's like this large divot kind of straight in front of you and to your right that's several 100 feet wide, and it drops down maybe 30 or so feet. It seems to be like a portion of the cave that has actually, fallen through in some way. At this point, Tyken, I'd like a wisdom saving throw.
11.
11.
Yeah.
Paying a lot of attention to your surroundings, trying to stay as safe as you can, you keep a close eye on this massive hole that if you drove the carriage into, or Lara did, would be death for most of you. You again hear that same voice from your dream the night before. Come home. Deep within that hole.
In the hole?
Yes.
Should I look down into the hole?
Yeah. As you guys drive along the outskirts of it, trying to make your way further south, you look down within and you see what looks like partial remains of structures made of stone in some way, either castles or villages, something like that, long since gone and broken down, weathered from the snow and the wind here. But it does look like at some point there was probably a city here, but you have no idea how long ago that was, and it's deep and only lit because of the ice here glowing a strange blue in most places.
Does
We
it
don't want
look
to be down there.
Yeah, does it look similar to what I saw in my vision? Like the
Buildings are buildings,
buildings,
but
yeah.
not, it's not a blatantly clear, this is the city I've seen in my dreams. This is very much just, I'm
Right.
seeing ruins and hearing a voice within.
I'll just reach over to Lara and stop, and kind of like stop the carriage.
What?
Without saying anywhere, I get off the carriage and just start looking down more into the hole, seeing if I can see anything.
It's just a hole.
Go ahead and roll me, we'll call it an investigation check, even though you're not up close to this. What is everybody's passive perception at the table as well? Well, I guess in the Discord.
Oh.
13.
13?
I have no passive perception.
Understood.
I have 9.
Okay.
21 on my investigation.
Looking down, this is likely hundreds of years old. The weathering on it is much deeper than even parts of White Spire that are very old. And you're not particularly advanced in the skills of knowing erosion on a city, but these look old, and even the cracks and crags on the edges of this deep hole are weathered from time as well. So it doesn't seem that this is a modern thing by any means. Probably been here a number of years.
Real quick, I'm just gonna say out loud, anybody have any rope? Did we get rope?
Look, son. I don't particularly like you, but I'm not going to participate towards your death.
That's fine,
so,
you don't have to.
no.
And I just start shuffling through the back, looking through supplies for any kind of rope.
Yeah, you guys would have a few hundred feet of rope because of the amount that you spent there in the store.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm going to grab, I don't know, however
Marta,
much rope I can, tie my hammer around the rope, and then I'm going to cast light on the head of my hammer, throw it in.
Okay. You see the rest of the party anyway. You guys see Tyken kind of working with a fervor that you're not used to, even compared to the excitement of yesterday's battle. An obsession bleeding through rather than like happy excitement at the sight of ruins. You take the hammer and kind of, cast light onto it, swirl it once, and then give it a nice toss out into the abyss. And as it falls down within, you see more of these buildings broken down. You actually see a couple of what look like small ice spiders skitter away from the light as it comes down. But you toss that hammer probably close to 200 feet straight down into the hole. And you notice now that the side where you threw it down, as you kind of peer over to look, it swings loosely. It seems like it's broken into a cavern rather than just a straight drop down. It's a fairly large space. Who knows what's down there? You could always try to climb down if you'd like.
Mitra, at this point, steps out of the carriage, and she walks beside Tyken and looks at him, and just says, "What are you doing?"
Don't know.
She tilts her head inquisitively. You
The
don't
poor boy's
know,
lost his marbles.
and yet you've continued. Listen here.
And I
Tyken.
just under my breath, I'll just kind of say to myself, kind of close my eyes. Do you want me to go in the hole?
What?
Hoping for any kind of response.
What?
She's way too tall to hear that. So,
Yeah.
so she's just like looking at Tyken, and then she places her hand on his shoulder and says, "Get a hold of yourself."
I'm
Here.
getting back in the cart.
Tyken, in the back of your mind, you hear that same voice again. Come home.
How much rope did I throw down there?
Several hundred feet, probably 2, 3.
Did it go slack like it hit the bottom?
No.
What the fuck? What the fuck are you doing with like 200 feet of rope on you? What?
Well, this was part of the supplies that you guys bought back in the general store.
My
75 gold is
God.
a lot of
Are we-
money for supplies.
Are we going to a BDSM party or something? What is
Yeah,
this?
but you can if you'd like, Cheyenda.
I would not.
I'll roll play anything for you, buddy.
I'll just quickly tie the end to the carriage and start climbing down the rope.
Where are you go? What?
No,
Stop.
Mitra's just gonna like grab him as he like begins trying to climb down. Like,
And I will begin like grabbing the rope, just like this is not happening.
Okay, go ahead and give me, I guess, contested athletics checks for the grapple, I assume. And then for you, I'll go ahead and do athletics as well, Lara, as you begin pulling the rope back up, going, no, we're not doing this, fuck this, no.
oh, okay, athletics.
Evan.
What? What?
I'm
25.
doing so well today. Jeez.
All right. Well, I guess I'm grappled. I'm not beating
Oh.
a 25, so
Yes. You did have the biggest person in the party besides you.
I know.
You have a firm grasp on Tyken, Mitra. What would you like to do? Or say?
She's gonna look at him for a moment and ask again, "What are you doing?"
Let me go, please. There's something down there.
She turns her head to look at Lara. As
We
if,
Use common
leave it
sense
down
down there.
there. We leave it down there. We don't need to go down there. Why would you even think? Are you okay? Are you sick? And not like hold my hand at like your forehead. Like, are you having a fever?
You do actually feel much more heat from his skin than you ever have before. This is not a healthy temperature that this man is at. And you would also notice you can see white all the way around his eyes. He is intensely trying to get down there.
I
To say
think
the
you need
least.
to lay down.
"Am I
Maybe get
retarded?"
back into the carriage.
Yeah, sure.
Gosh, she's like, she's just still hasn't grabbed her, right? And she's like, "Oh, what's his temperature like?" And she's just holding his arm. Like, should I bring him back up? It's a thing I can do.
Yes, bring him back up.
Connor, check your messages.
You can certainly try, my friend.
I do.
He's gonna freaking drop down, isn't he?
Go ahead
Quickest
and
character death ever.
Let's go. Any percent?
go ahead and roll me a
Taken percent.
wisdom saving throw. Tyken.
I heard you. Did a wisdom saving throw?
Yes, sir.
12.
12. You guys, as Mitra is holding and Lara is actively touching the face of Tyken, you see him quake for a moment before kind of trying to do something with his shoulders, move and break the grapple maybe, but nothing seems to happen to you currently.
I found it funny as fuck. But I know Mitra's like, what the fuck? What the hell is this? And so of course, she's going to try to lift him up and kind of like holding a child that's like desperately trying to run into a busy road. She's gonna drag him back and place him in a carriage, and then she's going to assert her dominance and block him from leaving. Yeah. Like, the intent is if he's dedicated, like she wants to see whether this is like a momentary lapse of sorts, or whether this is him really being dedicated to go swimming down this unknown hole.
It takes you a moment to drag him back towards the cart, and getting him up into the carriage is definitely a fight, but you do eventually manage it. Tyken, at this point, you feel that same familiar warmth of Farrier's light wash over you, and calmness reach your emotions, the fever pitch that you were at kind of going away for a moment. You're not entirely sure that you actually heard what you thought you heard down there. There's an unsureness to the state of your mind currently. Definitely.
Mitra's just standing there and looking. She's not saying anything. She's just looking and watching him, like what's gonna come next.
Can you feel shaky and weak, like when you've been sick, like a flu or something, that kind of ill but not, dying by any means. Just a strange wash over you.
Just get my hammer, please. Let's go.
Are you okay?
Be fine.
Mitra looks over her shoulder and gestures at Laura to retrieve his hammer. She doesn't quite trust it, so she's still standing there.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine. Just go get the hammer. And he like,
Okay, Laura will go get that.
Okay. You take a moment, drawing all that rope back in and coiling it back up in the back of the cart. And you are back gathered, rearmed again, Tyken. Unless you guys are keeping his weapon from him. That is up to you.
Mitra's gonna keep the weapon.
Okay. You feel solemn. Not quite sad, but like you've missed an opportunity, maybe. But you also wonder if that's not more of that strange intent at the back of your mind making you feel that way rather than actually feeling it. But you guys can begin making your way again, skirting around this large hole, and pushing deeper within this massive hollow. And I think that's where we'll end tonight's session. Little void of judgment from Tyken.
Are we there yet?